Alright, guys, welcome to the very first episode of the DoD podcast. I'm really excited for this, man. It's just an idea I've been kicking around a little bit, and I figured, hey, why not? The main reason I want to do this is because there are a lot of things that aren't necessarily horror related that I still really, really enjoy, and I figured just a casual sit-down podcast would be a good way for me to talk about those things, Early on in the channel, I've thought of, for instance, today's topic, Star Wars, it's there on the screen. When I first, came up with the channel and I knew I wanted to do predominantly horror-related content, I had a plan to do the Star Wars movies, but I figured that would take up a lot of time, especially if I'm just purely focused on horror. So I wanted to do a podcast, again, just to get my feelings out about some things that aren't necessarily in the horror realm. It doesn't mean I'll never do a podcast style presentation for horror content. It's just, it also gives me the opportunity to talk about other nerdy shit. So, yeah, and also, this is a little test run to see how Withdrawal can be presented, because, as I've said, it will be in a podcast format, just me narrating the story. But yeah, man, so this is going to be a very casual presentation, no real editing or anything like that. It's just going to be me talking, shooting the shit, my demeanor might be a little off because I am not used to this. I'm used to just being on camera, so this is a little weird for me, but hey, I guess I'll have to suck it up and fucking get used to it, right? So anyways, today we're talking about Star Wars, man. Overall feelings about the franchise, I fucking love it. I mean, what the hell else can you really say? I fell in love with Star Wars from a very, very early age. We'll get all into it, and it's never really faltered. With any fandom, I noticed that isn't really horror related. I dip in and out. I'll always love it, but there are times when I'm more into it than others, especially now as an adult, where I really only have time to focus on so many things. But yeah, burps included. That's implying that I don't include burps in the reviews. Anyways, but yeah, man, so really quick, just to run down what we're going to talk about. I just want to talk about the history of my personal Star Wars fandom, whatever you want to call it. Just my history with it, with the franchise and the movies and the merch and all that shit. I'm going to just go really quick and highlight my opinions on all of the movies except for Clone Wars. We're not going to talk about Clone Wars here. If you want my quick thoughts on that, I thought the 2003 animated series was fucking fantastic. I really, really loved it. 2008 and then onwards, when they came out with that movie that wasn't really intended to be a movie, and spoiler alert, I'm not going to really consider that a movie because it's not, in my opinion. But yeah, that, I've heard really good things. I haven't gone out of my way to watch it because the prequels aren't really, we'll get all into it. I appreciate their existence, but I'm not a huge fan on them, so I really don't want to invest a whole bunch of time in, stuff from that era of Star Wars. I'm sure it's great. If you love if you love the Clone Wars, awesome, good, love it. Just not my thing. Maybe one day I'll sit down and give it a watch, but I don't see that happening anytime soon. But yeah, man, let's see here. Like I said, no edits here. This is just going to be raw, uncut, and uncensored, as always. But yeah, and then we're going to... Anyways, we're going to run down my opinions of all of the movies, again, except for Clone Wars. So everyone kind of lists those, everyone kind of separates those as original trilogy, prequels, sequels. And then the spin-offs as well, being Solo and Rogue One. And then at the end, we are going to rank all of the Star Wars films. I'm gonna rank them, all of them, you know, except for Clone Wars. Okay, that's the last time I'm gonna talk about fucking Clone Wars. I'm making it sound like I hate it. I don't hate it. It's not my cup of tea, man. Plus, I'm not really a show guy. I have commitment issues when it comes to media, so keeping my attention for a show for years and years and years is very hard to do. It's been done before by certain shows. Shout out to Breaking Bad and Lost before you fucking betrayed me. But anyways, so I first really got into Star Wars. It was really weird how it happened. So basically, I was at school, and this wasn't like the come to Jesus moment where I'm like, oh my god, this is the best thing ever. It's the first time I really noticed Star Wars. And this kid, I was in like 2nd grade, and I had just switched schools, you know, so I really didn't know anybody. And I saw this kid had a Star Wars lunchbox, and it was based off of Attack of the Clones. I was in 2nd grade, so Revenge of the Sith was maybe a year or two from coming out, and Attack of the Clones was kind of still a big thing, I imagine. So he had an Attack of the Clones lunchbox, and I just saw all these. At the time, I didn't know what they were. I saw all these fucking laser swords and Hayden Christensen, and I was like, what the fuck is this? And that was the first time it really stuck out to me. It had to have been a couple days later or so, or a couple weeks later, I don't fucking know. But I somehow acquired this, like, I think it was like a Burger King toy or something, but I acquired this weird Jar Jar Binks toy. I don't know how I got it. I don't remember what exactly it was. I remember you pushed a button and the fucking tongue came out, and I had no idea what Star Wars was. I had no idea what Jar Jar was. So I was like, what the fuck is this thing? And I asked my mom, and she's like, oh, that's from Star Wars. And I go, what's that? She's like, oh my god, I've never shown you Star Wars. So we went home, and she straight away turned on the very first Star Wars movie I ever watched, which was Attack of the Clones. And just to disclose, I fucking hate Attack of the Clones. So, but when I was a kid, I didn't fucking know any better. And it was just a bunch of people fighting with laser swords, you know. There are admittedly some pretty cool sequences in that movie. And so I was like, oh my god. And from there, dude, I was just fucking in. I was in. I wasn't getting out. Went to my dad to talk to him about Star Wars, and he had in his possession the original trilogy, you know. And I say, like, the lunchbox was my very first introduction and then really noticing Star Wars. I had known who, like, Darth Vader was and shit like that. I mean, he's a pop culture icon. It's kind of impossible to not know who Darth Vader is. But, like, I had no idea. Like, I thought, like, oh, Count Dooku has a red lightsaber. That must be Darth Vader. And she's like, no. Yeah, my mom, meaning, I was like, is that Darth Vader? She's like, no. But yeah, so I really didn't fucking know anything. Watched Attack of the Clones as a child. Loved it. And I'm like, I need more now. So my dad had the original trilogy on VHS. Yes, there were the special editions. He did not have the original VHS releases, but it didn't matter to me as a kid, dude. And I sat down and I watched them one after the other, and I fell in love. That was like, I knew I had wanted to see more from Attack of the Clones, but I took a day, I sat down as a child, which is very hard to get a kid to sit still for, oh my god, had to have been, let's see, original trilogy, 6 hours and some change. Yeah, it's not easy. So, and I was just like, I'm in love. And I've been in love with the franchise ever since, man. I fucking love Star Wars. It's easily in my top 3 things as far as, like, cinema is concerned. I'd probably go, or cinema and just media in general. I'd say horror, pro wrestling, Star Wars. Those are my big 3. I fucking love this shit, man. Uh, but yeah, dude, so absolutely adored the original trilogy. And I know my timeline might be off. Like, if my parents listen to this, they're going to be like, well, no, this happened first and you get it. Whatever, man. You get what I mean. I loved the original trilogy. And sure enough, right around this time, Revenge of the Sith was coming out. And I was like, oh, shit. I had, at some point, I think I had made my grandma sit through the Phantom Menace. And I watched it like 15 times or some shit. Probably not that many, but I watched that movie a lot. And so I was all caught up. I had seen the originals. I'd seen the 2 prequels. And I was like, okay, baby. Fucking Revenge of the Sith time. And and we went to a midnight screening. My brother was really in this. Actually, both of my brothers are really into Star Wars. And we went to a midnight release. It was me. I think my older brother might have been there, but I know my other older brother was there. Anyways, for people who don't get it, I'm the youngest and I have 2 older brothers. Moving on. So I know one of them for a fact was there. My dad, my mom, and we sat down in the theater. It was a midnight release. I have to imagine 7 or 8 years old. And Revenge of the Sith, I'm so fucking excited. I can shit myself. I'm so ready. And we get maybe about 15 minutes into the movie and I fall asleep. My very first opportunity to see a Star Wars film and I fucking fell asleep. And I woke up. I think I woke up in the car and I was devastated. I don't remember like crying or anything like that, but I was just like, oh my God, why? Then again, why would you bring an 8-year-old to a fucking midnight release when 8-year-olds usually conk out at like fucking 9? But whatever. But yeah, man, eventually my mom, hate to telling you, mama, but she copped a bootleg for me. I sat down and I watched it. Fucking loved it. I would not want to go back and watch that copy now. I think I still have it. Somewhere, maybe. I wouldn't want to look at that copy now because it's bootleg quality. I have all of them on DVD, so there's really no need, but maybe one day I'll go back. But I watched Revenge of the Sith, and I immediately knew it was my favorite prequel, which, is pretty standard, I'd say, for most people. But I adored it. I absolutely adored it. And then for the longest time, that was it. There was no real hope of an episode 7. It's just not gonna happen, man. So me and my brothers would first of all, we gotta talk about, the toys, man. The fucking toys, dude. I was a big wrestling fan, so I had a bunch of wrestling action figures. And then when I got really exposed to Star Wars, I had to fucking collect the Star Wars fucking figures, man. There was just no way. I had all of them, dude. I had all the big characters. I couldn't tell you, like, from what line or blah, 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 but I had a bunch of Kenners, a bunch of Hasbros. I got the, that, like, prequel AT Walker thing. It wasn't the actual AT-AT. I never had one of those. I was, which upsets me now. But I had, like, the prequel version of that where it would hold a bunch of clone troopers and shit. That was fucking awesome. I eventually was able to acquire the Obi-Wan and Anakin fighter jets, which was really cool. Or fighter starships, you know what I mean? That they used in Revenge of the Sith, which that was fucking cool. Until, like, I was over at my dad's house and one of the cats fucking, I think, like pissed on one of them. So he had to throw it away. I was devastated. I think it was Anakin's that got thrown away, but I still had Obi-Wan, so I was happy about that. I got the Mustafar Playset, which I think they eventually re-released that and repainted it as an Indiana Jones playset. And I saw it in the toy store and I was like, what the fuck? I have this. But I still wanted it though because I was a big Indiana Jones fan too. But yeah, I got that Mustafar playset with the really, really shit Anakin and Obi-Wan figures, but discarded those pretty quickly. I would just use them for like cannon fodder. But I had my good Anakin and Obi-Wan, and I would just fucking play with that thing constantly. Constantly reenacting the final duel in Revenge of the Sith. Just absolutely loved that shit. But the big one, man, the biggest thing I could get was the Millennium Falcon, dude. It was the best Christmas present I think I've ever received. As a kid, it's the best Christmas present I've ever gotten, easily. You know, when you're a kid, every kid has that one story where they really, really want something for Christmas and they don't think their parents gonna get it for them. I was over at my dad and my stepmom's, my stepmom at the time. I was at their house and it was Christmas morning over there. You know, the whole divorced kid life. You go over to one parent's house for Christmas, go over to the other one, go to each grandparent's house, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. It didn't help that a set of my grandparents were also divorced, so I had the I made the rounds, dude. I went, which is good, because, you know, I got a bunch of toys out of it, but it's exhausting, because I'd get all this shit, and I'd fall asleep, because I couldn't play with any of it, because I was too fucking tired. Moving on. Like I said, very rambly for the podcast, but I like to think you guys like listening to me talk. Moving on. So, I was at my dad and my stepmom at the time. I was at her house, and it was Christmas morning, and I had been talking about this Millennium Falcon, dude. For anyone who doesn't know, it's the fucking huge one. It's not the Kenner one where it was a little smaller. This was like that huge, like $110 one. And of course, that's the one I wanted. But I was like, God, I would look at it on like in toy catalogs, and you could open it up and play with your figures in there and shit. And I was like, oh, dude, that would be just amazing. But, you know, I'm not going to act like I grew up fucking poor or anything like that. But, you know, middle-class family. You got to watch it a little bit, you know. So my dad was very honest with me Christmas morning. And he goes, look, man, couldn't swing the Falcon this year. I'm sorry. It just didn't work out. We got a bunch of other cool shit for you, though. And, you know, I wasn't a dick kid. Like, I was always raised to be very grateful for what I received. Was I a little bummed? Yeah, sure. You know, you're a fucking kid. But I was always raised to be very grateful for what I had. And that's something I still maintain to this day. So I was like, okay, you know, all right. I'm still going to be happy with what I got. And I was, dude. I got like a couple fucking GameCube games. I think I got Defender. I think that's when I got Lego Star Wars, the first one. I was fucking really happy about that. I think I got a Mario Party. Got like 7 or 8 new Star Wars figures. I already had the big ones. I had my Darth Vader. I had my Palpatine, Anakin, Obi-Wan, Luke, Han, Leia, you know, the whole fucking 9 yards. Some of them were really old Kenner figures too, so that was always cool to, like, you know, the limited articulation and stuff, but they were still fucking awesome. I love those Kenner figures. But anyways, so I got some new Star Wars figures, and I noticed, like, they got me like 10 Star Wars figures. I'm like, I'm getting a lot of Star Wars figures. Like, this is fucking cool. You know, I was still into wrestling and all that stuff. And I think I might have, maybe they swung a couple of those, but it was mostly, besides the GameCube games, it was predominantly Star Wars action figures. And I was like, oh, like, this is fucking cool, you know? It's a good makeup for not getting the Falcon. I'm cool with this. And then he goes, all right, well, here's what we're going to do. Because I was really happy about getting Lego Star Wars. He goes, all right, you know, take all these figures up to your room, and we'll probably, I think he probably said like something like, oh, we'll pop in a GameCube game or something like that. And I'm like, okay. So I, with my little kid body, I fucking grab all of these boxes. I trot my little ass upstairs, And when I get into my room, which I hadn't been in, I don't know how they fucking did this. I guess they hid it in like their closet, and then one of them probably went in and did this when I wasn't looking. But I get in my room, and I just see this huge fucking box underneath my covers, and I'm like, I immediately fucking knew what it was. I dropped all of the fucking figures on the floor. I was like, no way. I fucking went over there, pulled off the fucking cover, and it was the fucking Falcon, dude. I figured that was a big ass box too, so I figured, okay, like looking back, like they probably were like, I am not wrapping this fucking thing. So they just put it under my cover. But it made it all the much more cooler, man. I was like, holy shit. And yeah, man, I got so much mileage out of that thing. I still actually have it, man. It's in my basement. Of course, being a stupid kid, I've lost a lot of the parts to it. You know how it goes. But both of I think one of the top panels is gone. The escape pod thing is gone. That thing is not in the state it should be, that I'd like it to be. But I look at that thing every once in a while and I smile, man. That Christmas was fucking great. I've gotten a lot of really cool Christmas gifts in my life, but the Millennium Falcon, dude, that Christmas morning, man, nothing compares to that. Just fucking great. Just fucking great. Anyways, moving on. So I was really, really into the toys. But moving on, like I said before, there was really no hope of an episode 7 coming out. We would go, me and my brothers would go online. What I mean by that is I didn't know shit about computers. So they would go online and tell me things. But they would always say, hey, we keep looking, there's no news on episode 7, yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, fuck. So we would sit around and we would just watch, I'm looking, fan films. We would watch a bunch of fan films, and this is like, again, mid to late 2000s, so our computer was very, very slow. And like, I think one of them took like 8 hours to download, but we would watch these fan films and be like, dude, just imagine if there was a fucking episode 7. Like, just picture it. Like, that would be fucking killer. That would be fucking amazing. Another thing that I had, because I didn't really have any more movies, but one of my brothers, Matt, really got into the Star Wars EU extended universe. I think Brian probably got into it a little bit too, but at the time Matt was living with us, so he was my source of extended universe knowledge, and he would read these books, and there was all this shit about like Grand Admiral Thrawn and the Yuzong Vong, and fucking Chewbacca died at one point, and I'm like, no. And he would just tell me all this cool shit, learn about Jason Solo and Mara Jade, and like, it was cool. I was bummed we couldn't get a movie out of it, but it was cool that the series could still continue on in the books. It was still alive, which I fucking loved. I loved that Luke became this fucking uber powerful Jedi. I loved his not brawl. I loved his duels with, I can't even remember his name. I think he was like the leader of the Yuzong Vong. But his battles with him, like, Matt would read the books and then just tell me what happened. And it was just always so fucking cool. But yeah, man. And then years later, this is probably 2013, maybe? 2013, 2012. I can't remember when it happened, but eventually Disney bought the rights to Star Wars. They bought it off of George Lucas for a gazillion fucking dollars. And suddenly I was like, oh shit. And then within like a matter of days, I find out Star Wars Episode 7 coming out soon. Holy shit, dude. I was pumped out of my fucking mind. The only bummer is that it was very much so clarified that the extended universe is no longer canonical. It no longer happened. It no longer exists. Not gonna lie, man. I was a little bummed by that. I was a little bummed out. You know, you have a lot of rich story. And, you know, the new Disney stuff has definitely borrowed a lot from the extended universe. I know in Rebels, which I haven't watched, we get Thrawn, which I thought was cool. Yeah, I would have liked to seen him in or at least him referenced in a movie, because I know the sequels take place fucking years after he would have been probably long dead. But I know they borrow a lot from it, but I miss those days, man. I miss finding out what's going on with Jason Solo and all this shit, and we don't have that anymore, and it did suck. And sure, you still have the books and you can still read them and enjoy them, but I'm a big canon person. I'm like, what's the canon? What's canonical? Not only that, the fucking Force Unleashed video game, which I fucking really enjoyed. I didn't like the second one as much, but that first Force Unleashed game was not only amazingly fun, but it was also a really, really cool story. I liked the idea of Darth Vader having this secret apprentice, and I loved the ending of the game, and I loved the fact that you could choose the non-canonical ending, which, is kind of ironic considering the whole fucking game isn't canonical anymore. But it was cool that you could go and kill Vader and then you become kind of a Darth Vader-esque character. And, the extended stuff where you would go to Hoth and draw Luke to the dark side and you kill fucking Chewie and Han and Leia and all this crazy shit. But it was a fucking blast, man. It was a big bummer to lose that stuff. But, I was excited to see what was to come. And I'll tell you right now, dude, if you've seen the best theater experiences video, this is easily one of the most, if not the most special. I don't remember how I ranked them. I don't even think it was really a ranking, to be honest, but it's one of the most meaningful experiences I've ever had in a movie theater. The only thing I regret is that I didn't see it with my brothers. I just thought that would have been so poetic. I think we did end up seeing... No, we probably saw a Godzilla movie or something together. But I really, really do wish... I'm not a big regrets person. I have them, sure, but I try not to. I really wish, though, that we could have seen that together. I just went with some fucking chick I was dating at the time. And her family or whatever. But I got to sit down, and none of that shit didn't even matter. I didn't care I was with my girlfriend at the time. I didn't care about any of that. I fucking sat down in a movie theater for the first time since 2005 when I fucking fell asleep at Revenge of the Sith. And no, I don't count the fucking Attack of the Clone. No, I don't count the Clone Wars fucking movie thing that wasn't even intended to be a movie. I did go see that, but I was like... I remember even as a kid, I was like, it's okay. But anyways, so yeah, the first time since 2005, I get to see an official fucking Star Wars movie. And when that fucking crawl came up, that bang, the fucking thing. When that came up, and then I saw Episode 7, in Roman numerals, of course, I was just like, oh my God. It's here. It's finally here. I was floored, dude. That entire first time watching Force Awakens, you can't beat it. And then, of course, after I get done watching it, the emotional impact of Han Solo dying and just all this crazy shit. It was so nuts. And of course, we'll get all into it here in a sec, but people going like, oh, I fucking hated it. It was a ripoff of A New Hope. You fucking fuck off. I can see the similarities, sure, but to just call it a blatant ripoff, I think you need to check yourself and really understand what the term ripoff means. Not a ripoff. It definitely, it's Star Killer based and stuff. It was definitely, drawing a lot of inspiration. And, I have my problems with that movie. Don't get me wrong. But it will never, ever take away just sitting there and just taking it all in, man. I loved Rey. I loved Finn. I loved their stories. We'll get into the other sequels. But for that one movie, dude, and sitting there and seeing all my old favorites and all these new fucking awesome characters like Poe Dameron, Finn, Rey, BB-8, just, dude, it was fucking great, man. Absolutely fucking fantastic. Wouldn't have traded that 2 and something hours for anything in the world. Still wouldn't. But yeah, man. And, obviously then episode 8 and 9 came out. I like those for what they are. I definitely have my problems with them, which we'll get into here in a second, but I like them for what they are. But yeah, man. That's just a little brief, I wouldn't say brief, but it's a history of my Star Wars fandom, man. I fucking love the series. I think it's easily the best movie series to ever exist, and that includes horror. And hey, I might get some, like, what the fuck? Might get some James Bond fans, might get some Harry Potter fans, might get a bunch of different fans of a bunch of different series saying, like, what the fuck are you talking about? That's my thing, dude. Star Wars. 100%. But yeah, dude. So let's get into my opinions on the movies. We'll start out with the original trilogy. That's Star Wars, man. It's home. When I think of Star Wars, and yes, Star Wars has provided so much amazing shit. Some not great stuff. Holiday special, prequels, and it just gets put out some stinkers like anything. But to me, the original trilogy, Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, that's it, man. If I want to watch a Star Wars movie, 9 times out of 10, I'm popping one of those in. I enjoy the sequels for what they are. I'll tell you right now, I have not once popped a single, besides like Force Awakens, because I wanted to relive that experience. But I don't think I've ever. I own Last Jedi and I own Rise of Skywalker, but I don't think I've ever popped either of them in. And it's not that I don't like those movies, but it's the original trilogy all the way for me, man. 100% any day of the week. Original trilogy, the best. When we get into my ranking, I'm sure you already know where those are going to be. But the order of them might surprise you. Might not too. But anyways, then we get the prequels, Oh, and I know some people say Return of the Jedi isn't the best. It has its faults. I've seen some stuff pointed out about it that I'm like, yeah, okay. You could definitely say that, but fuck you. I like Return of the Jedi for what it is. But anyways, so the prequels. Hot topic. Even now. There's a big debate about whether or not the prequels are better than the sequels. A lot of nostalgia plays into this. A lot of people who grew up with the prequels, loving the prequels, saying that the sequels are shit and that you should give the prequels another chance. I grew up with the prequels, and no, that is not the case. I do not like the Phantom Menace. It has its moments. It has a lot. I think Darth Maul is fucking incredible. I think there's a lot of really, really, really spotty dialogue in that movie. I think it's, for a franchise that was built on space wizards fighting in space with fucking laser swords, I think it's very boring. It has a lot of talking and plot, and it's like, I'm not one of those people that can't take dialogue heavy scenes. That's not the case. But when you're talking about trade federations and all this shit, it's like, oh my fucking God, just stop. Anyways, we're getting into talking about the movies individually, and I want to get into that in the ranking section of the podcast. So moving on. Prequels 1 and 2 aren't great. 3 is good. I like 3. 3 is fine. But yeah. So, and then we get, first of all, before we talk the sequels, I want to talk about the spinoffs. Solo and Rogue One. Just in a package. Also, The Mandalorian. We didn't talk about The Mandalorian really at all. I fucking adore The Mandalorian. I will lump that in here as well. No, I am not ranking it because it is not a movie. It is a TV show. But if you want to know, I fucking adore The Mandalorian. And I am excited for Book of Boba. And I am excited for fucking the Obi-Wan show, if that's still happening. Who even fucking knows anymore? But anyways. So, we have... I just totally lost my fucking place. What the hell? The spinoffs, duh. Solo and Rogue One. I think film-wise, that is the best content that the Disney Star Wars era has produced. I fucking love those movies. I get a lot of the same feelings I get from those watching the original trilogy. I absolutely adore those movies. I love the ideas that those movies bring to the table. They're just so fucking fantastic to me, dude. I adore those spinoffs. I know some people aren't fond of them, and when they came out, a lot of people were heavy on Star Wars hate because of the sequels. And I personally like the sequels for what they are. I will say I like both spinoffs significantly more than I like the sequels. And that includes Force Awakens. I think it pays phenomenal tribute to characters and stuff, especially in Solo. You know, there's really no big characters in Rogue One except for the ending, duh. But I think those films are absolutely fabulous. I think they're my favorite Star Wars films besides the original trilogy. And I know that's going to floor some people, but that's how I feel. Moving on. Then we have the sequels, the Disney, everyone's so fucking furious with these movies. I adore Force Awakens. I think it reintroduces us to these characters years and years later that we know and love, and it introduces the new characters very, very well. And then I think while I enjoy Last Jedi and I enjoy Rise of Skywalker, I think it takes a shit on a lot of the stuff that Force Awakens set up. I don't hate those movies. I think they just mismanage a lot of the characters. I think they handle them very, very poorly. We'll get all into that here in a second. But yeah, man. Oh, boy. So yeah, that basically does it. Let's go ahead and get into the motherfucking ranking. So, as always, I must establish this is my opinion. This is how I feel. I don't want anyone, you don't fucking know what you're talking, because Star Wars fans, really quick, we gotta talk about this. The Star Wars fandom, it has pockets of it that are fucking really, really cool. And when I talk to people who are even minded about Star Wars, and they're even tempered about Star Wars, it's fucking great. I love talking to Star Wars fans that aren't fucking cocksuckers. there are a lot of Star Wars fans that are elitist, gatekeeping fucking pricks, and it pisses me off. I feel like it causes people to steer clear of the franchise who want to get into it. Stop doing that. It's a really, really shitty way to represent something you love. Especially with something that is as huge as Star Wars. You need to understand that certain people are going to like certain things. There are a lot of people who fucking hate the Disney movies. If that's your opinion, fine. Do I agree with you? No, I really don't. And there a lot of those people will say, oh, the prequels are fantastic. No, they're not. But the Star Wars fan, we love the same thing to a certain extent. I will respect that opinion. All I ask is you respect mine, and you respect all the other people who fucking love this shit. But yeah, so that being said, let's make some people mad. Star Wars ranking time. First of all, we got Attack of the Clones taking the bottom spot. I really, really like very little about this movie. I think the scene in the Coliseum is cool with the big fucking monsters and all that shit. I think the lightsaber duel between Anakin and Obi-Wan versus Count Dooku is fine. I think it's a little brief. Nothing really of note happens besides Anakin getting his arm cut off. I think one of the worst sins that the prequels commit is Yoda fighting, because his whole thing is really not fighting. So I don't understand why they have him being this flippy dippy green fucking weirdo. I don't think it works, man. I don't think it works. I don't like Yoda in the prequels. I think he's hokey. And that movie's hokey. And obviously you get the fucking romance shit, which I am all for romance in a Star Wars film. I think it's one of the most important parts of the original trilogy between Han and Leia. But when it's bad in this one. It's fucking bad. Moving on. Phantom Menace got a little leg up on Attack of the Clones, because I think it is drastically more entertaining in certain regards. Jar Jar's not great. I think everyone already knows that by now. Jar Jar is just not a very fun character at all. I think he was intended to be... No, I don't think. I know he was intended to be this comic relief, and he's just not, and he sucks, and I hate him. I think he's the most annoying fucking character, and if you talk to 98% of Star Wars fans, they will share that opinion. Fucking don't like Jar Jar. I think with what he is given, I think Liam Neeson is the best part of that movie. I think I really, really like Qui-Gon. Qui-Gon is the best part of the Phantom Menace. They don't give Obi-Wan shit to do in that movie. Like, he is like Qui-Gon's little sidekick, and that's it. And then there's really no relationship between him and Anakin established. So when Qui-Gon dies, all of a sudden it's just like, oh, well, I guess I'm fucking training you. And for a trilogy that really asks you to emotionally invest in that relationship, very, very poor way to start it off. I think the last duel between Obi-Wan and Anakin versus Maul is fucking beautiful. I think it's one of the best lightsaber duels in the series. I fucking adore it. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. There's not a lot of emotional investment because you really don't know who the fuck Darth Maul is, to be honest. I mean, everyone knows him now. You know, everyone loves his arc in the Clone Wars and stuff like that. But at the time, you're like, who the fuck is this guy? You know? But still, from a choreography and emotion standpoint, when Qui-Gon dies and just that whole thing, and all of a sudden we're supposed to be really into Obi-Wan Kenobi all of a sudden, which, you know, if you're a big fan of the original trilogy, which I am, naturally you're going to get into him. But for the film, he just doesn't have anything. He's just kind of there. But yeah, I think Phantom Menace has bright spots, but I very, very seldom watch it. And then we have Revenge of the Sith. Revenge of the Sith is the best prequel, no doubt. Again, you're not going to find a lot of people who have a differing opinion from that. I think there's still a lot of really spotty dialogue, but it's far more entertaining than the previous two. I think it does a fantastic job. It tells the story we've all been waiting for. We want to see Anakin turn into Vader, and we get that. We get an amazing lightsaber duel at the end between Anakin and Obi-Wan. That's just fucking beautiful. It gets critiqued for being a little too choreographed and a little too hokey, which I get. I could have done without them swinging on fucking cables and, on a balancing beam and all that shit. I could have done without that and a little more aggressiveness to it. But that being said, I think visually it's a fucking beautiful fight. Get a much better Yoda fight in this one with him and Palpatine. I really enjoy that scene. He's still doing a little bit of flippy dippy shit, but it's not nearly as overblown as it was in Clones. But yeah, dude, I think, and all the fights in that movie are really cool. Grievous is fucking great, I fucking love General Grievous. That scene with him and Obi-Wan. Even though looking back on it, it's not much of a lightsaber duel, and he gets two of his four hands cut off pretty quickly. But it's still that visual of him just twirling those sabers. It's fucking fantastic. I love it. And yeah, easily Revenge of the Sith. Obviously, Order 66, easily the most powerful thing in that movie besides, the whole Anakin thing, turning into Vader and stuff. That is, just such a fucking great sequence. It's filmed beautifully. I love that sequence. It's easily the best prequel. And from this point on, I really, really like Revenge of the Sith. And we're in the section where I like these movies. Revenge of the Sith is the first one I like. Moving on, we get the Rise of Skywalker. So, and I'm already getting people, the sequels are far worse than the prequels. Yeah. Whatever. Fine. Think that way. Let me think my way. Moving on. It's the wrap up to the sequel trilogy. I think it wraps up Rey's story fine. I'm not a fan of her being related to Palpatine. I'm not a fan of bringing Palpatine back. I get it. I understand why he's back. I understand how he came back, yada, yada, yada. You didn't need him. You really, really, really didn't need him in this. It just feels so unnecessary to me. Sure, it's cool to have him back, but it just feels a little cash grabby to me, to be honest. I feel like at this point they were just scrambling to find some sort of nostalgia for fans to like these movies again, and they just picked the wrong thing. Because he's related to Rey, and that's the whole deal, and it's fine. I can sit down and enjoy it for what it is. I hate that Finn and Poe are basically nothing characters at this point, and they're just guys now, when in Force Awakens their characters were so fucking rich and awesome. Just blah. I like it okay. I think it's fine. I think the Kylo's turn to the light side of the Force was just so just so sudden. Could have been done way better. I get it. Yeah, you gotta run time. You gotta do it eventually. He was already conflicted. It's fine, but but yeah, moving on. Then we have Last Jedi. I think Last Jedi goes in a very, very bold and daring direction. I love that the fact that they introduced the thing, because the whole, rumor was, oh my god, Rey's related to so-and-so, Obi-Wan Kenobi, or oh my god, she's the daughter of fucking Han, or whatever. She has to be related to somebody. It's like, no, she really doesn't. And this film does that. It brings back the magic of the Force. The Force just chooses people, dude. You don't have to have a bloodline that you're, like, attached to. I love that she's just no one. She's no one special. I mean, she is, but she's just a fucking random girl. And that's it. And that's all you need, dude. Like, I love the fact that they made her no one in this. I love Luke's character in this. Yeah, he's drastically different from what he was in the extended universe, but I think they handle him very well in this. It was very jarring, I'll say, to see how his character was handling, but I appreciated it for what it was. I love that he dies. I love that they're killing off the original trilogy people to make room for the new guys. The reality is this. These people had their time in the sun. It's time to showcase the new people. I think they utilized the old Excuse me. I think they utilized the old characters very well in the sequel trilogy. I will say that. They're not up and in your face the entire time. Obviously, Luke has that amazing scene in Last Jedi, but for the most part, they're not like just all up in your face. They're there. They're very important to the story, but they're not the key. The key is, you know, Rey and Finn and Poe. And God, dude, I loved Force Awakens. And Last Jedi, the one thing I'm not fond of it on is that it totally dampers Finn. He had this big character arc in Force Awakens, and then they just throw it away, and he's back to being a coward. I'm like, really? And he goes through the same arc again. Like, he just learned this. Fucking whatever. But yeah, man. Then we get into the, the Force Awakens. Easily. The one critique of this is I feel like, I know I just said it's not a ripoff of A New Hope, because it's not. But the one thing I will say, at some point, it is a little distracting to have, really Starkiller base. It's like, I get it. This guy's obsessed with Vader, Kylo Ren. And, he wants to replicate what he did. And so he makes Starkiller base. There's a narrative reason behind it. It's just... it's a little on the nose. Other than that, dude, I fucking love The Force Awakens. I'm just going to say it right now, man. Easily scene of the film when Han Solo dies, and that emotional weight of that you find out, which dropped everyone's jaw when, Snoke lets go of the fact that Kylo is Han's son. Which everyone was just like, whoa! And that whole scene was just beautiful. Love that fight scene between Rey and Kylo at the end. I know everyone's like, oh, why is she so powerful? Whatever, man. It's fucking... I think it's awesome, dude. Really, really cool scene. It's not like she just beats him outright and he's severely weakened from the, blast from Chewbacca. Love that scene. Love that movie. Just the right amount of nostalgia where you need it. Introduces new characters, introduces meaningful storylines. Yes, the next two, I should say, really, really shit the bed on 2 of the 3 storylines. But hey, man, it is what it is. I still really enjoy Force Awakens. I didn't even mention in Last Jedi, by the way, I love Snoke dying and that just coming out of nowhere. Because everyone's like, oh, Snoke is Darth Sidious. Snoke is Snoke, blah, 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 blah. It's like, nope, Snoke is dead. Fucking love that. But anyways, that's where Force Awakens lands. Then we get into Rogue One. Love the element. Not the element, it's the story. Love the story of them. It's the story of them getting the Death Star plans, dude. It's such a simple little thing that, like, it's a throwaway couple of lines in the movie. Just like, oh, we stole these plans. And it kind of drives the plot for a little while with Darth Vader trying to get the plans from Leia. But I would have never thought to just make this kick-ass war movie out of this. Introduces all these characters. I love the fact that they all die. It really, really gives the weight of how important it is to fucking blow this thing up. Dude, that movie is just so fucking great. I love it. I know there's some weird shit in it, like the squid thing and all of that, but it's a beautiful movie, man. It is an absolutely beautiful fucking movie. I love Rogue One. What I love more than that is Solo. Jabba impression, sorry. Love Solo, man. Absolutely adore Solo. It's the next in my list. Dude, just... First of all, I can't remember his name, but the guy who played Han Solo. Oh my god. He nailed it, dude. He fucking nailed it. I thought he was incredible. And the whole story and how he meets Chewbacca and how, you know, that little fan service of him shooting first at the end, which was fucking fantastic. The whole... Just the story and him, how he learns to kind of be selfish and kind of be a prick. And obviously in Star Wars, he unlearns that. But really, really great storytelling. I love... The Darth Maul reveal at the end was a little weird. Like, I didn't really understand that. But I was like, alright, fucking whatever. Han Solo is like my favorite. I go back and forth, but... Mostly Han Solo is like my favorite fucking Star Wars character. So to get a whole movie for him, fucking amazing. Absolutely incredible. I love Solo. I acknowledge it has some things here and there. Loved Donald Glover, Childish Gambino as fucking Lando. Beautiful stuff there. Love Solo. And then, of course, we get into the original trilogy, man. I really don't know what to say about the original trilogy. Yes, I have an order. Yes, they are ranked. I fucking adore these movies. I love them all. Yes, I have a favorite and a least favorite of them, but it's not really by much. I think these movies are incredible. I think these movies are timeless. And yeah, first up, we have Return of the Jedi. I think it is a phenomenal conclusion to a phenomenal trilogy. One thing I would say is I feel like Han Solo's character is a little flat in that movie. I don't really feel like he's given a whole lot to do. I'm sure he's there and he gives off some one-liners and he's entertaining as always, but... Yeah, you know, I mean, I think it could have been a little better. But yeah, man, absolutely loved Return of the Jedi. There's that ending with, you know, Luke and Vader and that amazing fight, and the amazing music accompanying it. Just beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. That narrative story wrapping up with Vader throwing Palpatine into the shaft and it blowing up. Wasn't a big fan of having a second Death Star. I figured it's like, oh, well, you know, this plan went to shit the first time. Why would you do it again? But it still made for a cool space battle with Lando blowing up the Falcon. Or, thankfully not. Blowing up the Death Star this time. But overall, man, the Sarlacc pit. I had a weird obsession with the Sarlacc pit as a kid. I don't know why. I just fucking loved the thing. Fuck that beak, though, that they added to it. That thing is fucking stupid. Just that gaping mouth. Beautiful stuff. I guess that's the horror nerd in me. Then we get Star Wars. Yes, I am the typical fan that loves The Empire Strikes Back more than anything. But Star Wars, to me, is a perfect sci-fi film. It has everything you could want in a fucking sci-fi film. Maybe not everything, because sci-fi, you know, that's a very, very broad genre. But I think Star Wars is a phenomenal, phenomenal film. Its narrative arc with Luke and him, it's a coming of age for him and how he learns to use the Force and old Ben teaching him the ways of the Jedi and him dying and that sacrifice. Yeah, the lightsaber duel was a little weak, but it was, dude, it's just a beautiful, beautiful movie, dude. Obviously the ending with the Death Star blowing up is just an amazing, amazing ending. Love Han, the introduction to Han Solo, him just blowing away Greedo. I love that it establishes that, hey, this guy is helping you out, but he's not a great guy necessarily. And sure enough, his arc, which I arguably enjoy just as much as Luke's, of him, you know, coming back, helping his friends, making that decision to be a good person. Just awesome stuff, dude. I love Star Wars. And then finally, we get The Empire Strikes Back. Everyone knows the little shoehorn. Ooh, not that. The little monkey wrench thrown into the story of Luke being the son of Darth Vader, totally knocking everybody on their ass. I love seeing videos of kids reacting to that. I think it's absolutely phenomenal. I fucking love seeing that. But yeah, man, the battle on Hoth, we get introduced to Yoda, who's actually used properly, unlike in the fucking prequels. Adore Yoda. He's this goofy, silly fucking little Muppet. And then you realize that, oh my god, this dude is like the top fucking dog when it comes to Jedi. He is like one of the most powerful Jedi. And he immediately just becomes a fucking legend. And Empire did that, man. Empire gave us Yoda. What else do I need to say? Absolutely love Yoda. I love just the settings. You know, we go from a lot of brightly lit stuff in Star Wars to a lot of murky, dark. You know, we get Cloud City, which is very ominous looking, and we get and it's beautiful too. We get Dagobah, which is probably my favorite Star Wars planet just in general. I love that swampy, gooey, gross fucking setting. I just think it's amazing. And the fact that that's where Luke really cuts his teeth and really for the first time trains to become a Jedi, I think it's incredible. Just the scenes of him, you know, learning to use the Force and all this. It's fucking just impeccable filmmaking. I love it. My voice is getting a little tired here. I'm used to cutting and giving my voice a break and coming back to it, but this is anyways, obviously that ending duel with Vader and Luke for the first time, my favorite lightsaber duel in all of Star Wars, that will never ever change. Just the feeling of Vader he's just toying with him. He isn't taking this kid serious at all. And his goal is to never really kill him. But he really could at any time. Like, Vader is the most powerful Sith besides, you know, Palpatine. And just his ability to fucking just fuck with this kid. He ain't sweating him worth a shit. Like, he don't give a damn. You know, he's one-handed, just fucking... it's light work to him, man. Just a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful fight scene on in Cloud City, or Bespin, whatever you want to call it. I'm trying to think of what else. Han Solo getting frozen in the carbonite is a very great scene. Obviously, you know, I love you, I know. That whole thing is absolutely beautiful. Chewie being devastated. I love Lando's character and that moral ambiguity of that character, and then he obviously goes full babyface in Jedi, but absolutely fucking love Lando, which is another reason why I really like Solos, because it, you know, takes a lot from my favorite Star Wars movie. Let me think here. I'm just trying to think of some other stuff. I don't really want to give a full review. So, you get it. Battle on Hoth is amazing. You know, yada, yada, yada. So, it's just a quick ranking of all my, of the Star Wars films to me. Just to go over it again really quick before we wrap up, we have from worst to best. We have Attack of the Clones, Phantom Menace, Revenge of the Sith, The Rise of Skywalker, The Last Jedi, The Force Awakens, Rogue One, Solo, Return of the Jedi, Star Wars, and The Empire Strikes Back. Well, guys, I think that will just about do it. I really like doing podcasts, man. Definitely going to have a bottle of water next to me next time I do one of these, because, But yeah, man, didn't really have to... I obviously wasn't going to gun all the Star Wars movies in preparation for this. I've seen them hundreds of times. Besides, like, you know, sequels. But, you know, I know what the fuck I'm talking about is what I'm trying to say. It was good to kind of take a break from, you know, the typical 1-2 of putting videos out for you guys. Just figured this would be a fun, relaxed, little long podcast for you guys to listen to about fucking Star Wars and how much I love it. Next time on Days of Darkness, we're going to get into the traditional format. We're going to review Predator 2, which I am very, very excited for. I like that movie quite a bit. But yeah, man, thank you guys for sitting here and listening to this disembodied voice talk about Star Wars for what I imagine is over an hour. And yeah, man, just stay safe out there. Take care of each other. Keep watching horror. And keep watching Star Wars. All right, guys. Have a good day.